fight. How many pay-per-views has PBC had in the past 60 days? Tank Davis. Let's see, who was it? Tank Davis. They've had 3 pay-per-views, and they will have 3 pay-per-views in 60 days. Tank Davis, Charles Martin, Luis Ortiz, and what's the other young man's name? Mario Barrios and Keith Thurman. That's 3 pay-per-views, right? Why do they have pay-per-views? To offset their costs. PBC can't afford to pay their fighters. These fighters have guarantees on their contract. And Al Haymon, unfortunately, can't honor these guarantees, so he has to put them on pay-per-view. And when you owe too many fighters too much money, then you got these IOUs. But Al Haymon definitely knows how to protect himself from litigation. I will give him credit. So here's the dilemma. Floyd Mayweather's been talking about Canelo a lot, right? Y'all have been paying attention to that, right? Well, he's also been saying he's a partner in PBC. And I appreciate my sources from PBC hitting me up, man. They just love me, man. They love giving me information, man. I want to say thank you. Now I'm going to let Al Haymon go hunt for who's the mole. Who's the mole in this motherfucker? Who's the mole? Good luck, Al. Good luck. Good luck. So, he's been talking about him being a partner in PBC. If you're doing the deal with Al, you're doing the business with me. If you're doing the business with me, you're doing the business with Al. That was his quote, right? Well, Al Haymon and Floyd Mayweather are business partners, right? However, Floyd Mayweather is not making any business decisions. Al Haymon has Floyd Mayweather's money tied into PBC. Floyd Mayweather has yet to recoup all his money that he's made from PBC. They owe him money. Who did PBC just pay $50 million to? Canelo. Floyd is livid. When I say Floyd is livid that 1, he has no power. 2, he hasn't received all his money. And 2, Canelo is going to walk away making more money than Floyd. And now Floyd is in a pickle. And all this is 100% facts.
And those are the words of Fred from Barbershop Conversations, as you heard him explain that there is no money in the PBC. Al Haymon's trying to link up with anyone to get deals for fighters, and Floyd Mayweather's assets are entangled up with the PBC. Let me counterpunch. I overheard Leonard Ellerby, which I'll let you guys look at a clip here in a minute, that explains that, hey, he wouldn't pay Gervonta Tank Davis what Devin Haney's getting paid over on the zone. Okay? But we'll get to that in a minute. But it just goes to show you the signs of what people and how people, what they do when there is no money. The signs were already there. When you worry more about a pay-per-view than a guarantee, and all those fighters were brainwashed over there to believe that pay-per-view was better than a guarantee. Okay, that's what you preach when you really don't have the budget or you can't produce the funds. You blame it on pay-per-view. And then what you're doing, you're putting something on pay-per-view for someone that's supposed to have marquee value. And then when it goes belly up, you blame it on pay-per-view and not the guarantee. See, if you depend on pay-per-view, the pay-per-view is linked with the guarantee. And it's sad because these fighters are not really getting paid what you think they are. Okay? And then you can tell they're brainwashed because they don't want to go anywhere else. You know why? Because they don't know about anything else. Look at Mikey Garcia, for example. Why do you think he went to the Zone? He went to the Zone for the money. Okay? He went from Bob Arum to PBC, then from PBC he jumped right to the Zone. Okay? You think that's coincidence? No. Jesse Vargas, Danny Jacobs. You know, you have these guys that some of them that woke up and start realizing, hey, you know what? You know what? I can't stay here. These guys don't have the money. See, they have the talent, but they don't have the money. And they follow a promoter as an Al Haymon, and he's supposed to have all this money for the fighters, but in actuality, he didn't have it. So it's blowing up between Floyd Mayweather and Al Haymon, which is very surprising. That's why this is shocking news. Okay, this just dropped last night. That Al Haymon owes him millions of dollars because Floyd Mayweather invested in the PBC. But then yet, he doesn't want to deal with other people because then they will know what standpoint they're in, where they're at financially. So I think it's all smoke and mirrors when it comes to Floyd talking about Gervonta Tank Davis. He doesn't want him to fight anyone. But I don't understand why Tank is not smart enough to understand, like, hey, these other fighters are actually getting paid a lot more than he is. Okay? But again, there's been signs. When you throw pay-per-view for a fighter, for a replacement, that's supposed to be on regular Showtime. But if you don't have the money to actually even air it on Showtime, this is what you're going to get. Take Deontay Wilder, for example. They dropped him on Showtime after spending $10 million on him because they found out he wasn't worth it. And Deontay Wilder was he was a lot more marketable than someone like Tank Davis. He was worth more. He was in high demand of what the potential could be. Okay? And it's crazy, man. It's absolutely nuts how people thought that these guys made all this money. They used to lie. They went from lying about pay-per-view sales to flat out denying to even speak about pay-per-view sales. And this is what we have. And Floyd, I feel bad for him. But this is what happens when you surround yourself around smart people and you're not one of those smart people. See, Floyd's not all that smart. 50 Cent showed you that. 50 Cent exposed Floyd. Floyd spent a lot of money he had no business spending on stupid shit. He had a business that he didn't even have an LLC for when he got locked up for smacking up his baby mama, allegedly. Facts. Okay? That's why those guys fell out. Because 50 Cent found out that Floyd ain't the businessman that he perceived to be. At all. Okay? Because he set all that up, spent $1 million to get it legit, and Floyd thought it wasn't even an important thing for him to spend that money. But that's what happens when someone finds out, like, hey, you're not even on that level. So when you're around smarter people, those smarter people can take advantage of you, especially when they know that you don't know what they do. Okay? And I think that's what's happening with Floyd. So if he can drain his assets trying to get these fighters off the ground, fine. But he has to give these fighters, or have to give the public, fights that people want to see. Because if not, they're going to go belly up thinking that they're on this island, that they think they have all these supplies and money and everything, and they really don't have anything at all to show for it. But again, this is crazy news. Beef between Floyd Mayweather and Al Haymon. You know, I would hate to think Al Haymon's like another Don King, but, it's looking that way. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think about this. And then as I go, I'm going to let you guys listen to a clip of what Leonard Ellerbe had to say regarding Gervonta Tank Davis. Until then, you guys been counterpunching.
Again, it's like, what's really happening? So you just mentioned Haney, for example. Devin Haney makes a lot of money, and I'm proud of him for that. I'm proud of his dad, and I'm proud of him. He's an excellent boxer, and he's a good businessman too. Okay, but would we pay him that kind of money that he's making? Absolutely not. And I'm just being totally